Hello students. So last class discussion was about SCSI bus, that is small computer system interface bus. I hope SCSI bus concept is clear. So in today's class I am going to discuss the very last component of this module, that is USB, Universal Serial Bus. So this is what the device that we will be using in our day-to-day life in most of the times. So you might have used pen drive. So pen drive where we will be inserting at USB port or the USB slot. So that is what USB, that is a universal serial bus. So I'll discuss this concept in detail. So that will complete this module, that is second module. Here, as you know, the synergy between the computers and the communications is at the heart of today's information technology revolution. So, a modern computer system is likely to involve a wide variety of devices such as keyboards, microphones, cameras, speakers, and the display devices. So, most of the computers also have a wired or wireless connection to the internet that we know. So, a key requirement in such an environment is availability of a simple, low cost mechanism to connect these devices to the computer, and an important recent development in this regard is the instruction of, that is the introduction of USB, that is universal serial bus. So USB is considered as the very low cost mechanism to connect the devices, that is the devices like microphones, cameras, speakers, display devices, and all. So this USB is the low cost mechanism to connect the devices to the computer. So USB is an industry standard developed through a collaborative effort of several computer and the communication companies including Compaq, HP, Intel, Lucent, Microsoft, Nortel Networks, Philips, and all, right? Here the USB support two speeds of operation. Here you can see different speeds here. So basically USB support two speeds of operation called as low speed and the full speed, and one more is high speed also, right? So normally the low speed is up to 1.5 mbps, that is a megabits per second, and full speed is 12 mbps, that is 12 megabits per second. And the most recent revision of the bus specification, that is USB 2.0, introduced a third speed of operation that is known as high speed, and high speed is up to 480 mbps, that is megabits per second. So the USB is quickly gaining acceptance in the marketplace, and with the addition of high speed capability, it may well become the interconnection method of choice for the most of the computer devices. So this is all about the USB and USB's speed up operation, that is low speed, high, full speed, and high speed. Here the USB has been designed to meet some of the key objectives. Here I have listed some of the key objectives. Mainly the USB is going to meet, or USB has been designed to meet these key objectives. So here the key objectives are: USB provides a simple, low cost, and easy to use interconnection systems that overcome the difficulties due to the limited number of IO ports available on a computer. Second one is it accommodate a wide range of data transfer characteristics for IO devices, including telephone and internet connections. The very last key objective is it enhance the user convenience through a plug and play mode of operation. Means wherever you want, you can insert the device, and you can remove the device. That is plug and play mode of operation. So USB is basically designed to meet these key objectives. Okay, now I will elaborate on these objectives before discussing the technical details of the USB. So first I will take port limitation. So as I already discussed, parallel and serial ports. So here parallel and serial ports provide a general purpose point of connection through which a variety of low to medium speed devices can be connected to a computer that we know. Here for practical reasons only a few such ports provide in a typical computer. So to add new ports, a user must open the computer box to gain access to the internal expansion bus and install a new interface card. Here, the user may also need to know how to configure the device and the software. An objective of the USB is to make it possible to add many devices to a computer system at any time without opening the computer box. So that is what is about the port limitation. That is a USB port limitation. Then the next important aspect is device characteristics. Here, the kinds of devices that may be connected to a computer, it cover a wide range of functionality. The speed, volume, and the timing constraints associated with the data transfer to and from such devices is very significantly. In the case of a keyboard, 1 byte of data is generated every time when a key is pressed, which may happen at any time. So these data should be transferred to computer promptly, means honestly, right? Since the event of pressing a key is not synchronized to any other event in a computer system. So the data generated by the keyboard is known as asynchronous. That is asynchronous data. Furthermore, the rate at which the data are generated is quite low, so it is limited by the speed of a human operator to about 100 bytes per second, which is less than 1000 bytes per second. Here, a variety of simple devices that may be attached to a computer generate data of similar nature, low speed, and asynchronous. So, computer will control, and there are the manipulators which are used with video games. So basically in case of video games, the computer and the controls, and there are also manipulators which will control these operations. Now let us consider a different source of data. So many computers have a microphone either externally attached or a built-in microphone. So the sound picked up by the microphone, it produces an analog electrical signal which must be converted into a digital from before it is being handled by the computer, because as we know the computer can understand only the digital data. So if there are any analog signals, that must be converted into a digital form before handling by or before processed by the computer. So this is accomplished by sampling the analog signal periodically. For each sample, an analog to digital converter generates an n bit number representing the magnitude of the sample. Here, the number of n bits is selected based on the desired precision with which to represent each sample. Later, when these data are sent to a speaker, then a digital to analog converter is used to restore the original analog signal from the digital format. This is how the converter performs the task here. The sampling process yield a continuous system of digitized samples that will arrive at regular intervals, then synchronized with the sampling clock. So such a data stream is called as isochronous. So it is meaning that successive events are separated by equal periods of time. That is isochronous. Here a signal must be sampled quickly enough to track its highest frequency components. In general, if the sampling rate is S samples per second, then the maximum frequency component that will be captured by the sampling process is S by 2. For example, the human speech can be captured adequately with a sampling rate of 8 kHz, which will record the sound signals having a frequency up to 4 kHz. So, for a highest quality sound as needed in the musical systems, the higher sampling rates are used for the musical systems where a high quality sound is required. Here, a standard rate for digital sound is 44.1 kHz, and each sample is represented by 4 bytes of data to accommodate a wide range in sound volume that is necessary for the high quality sound reproduction. So, this yield a data rate of about 1.4 megabits per second. An important requirement in dealing with the sampled voice or music is to maintain precise timing in sampling and replay processes. So, a high degree of jitter is unacceptable here. High degree of jitter means variability in sample timing. So, that is not acceptable here. Hence, the data transfer mechanism between a computer and a music system must maintain a consistent delays from one sample to next sample. Otherwise, the complex buffering and retiming circuitry would be needed. On the other hand, occasionally errors or missed samples can be tolerated. They either go unnoticed by the listener or they may cause an un obtrusive click means some uneven click, and no sophisticated mechanisms are needed to ensure perfectly the correct data delivery. The data transfers for images and the video have the similar requirement but at much higher data transfer bandwidth. The term bandwidth refers to the total data transfer capacity of a communication channel measured in the suitable units such as bits or bytes per second, that is bits per second or bytes per second. So to maintain the picture quality of the commercial television, an image should be represented by about 160 kilobytes and transmitted 30 times per second for a total bandwidth of 44 megabits per second. And higher quality images such as high definition TV and all, so they require very higher rates. So this is all about the device characteristics. Different devices will be having the different characteristics. The last aspect is plug and play. So as the computers become the part of everyday life, so their existence should become increasing, which is very transparent, right? For example, when operating a home theater system, which includes at least one computer, here the user should not find it necessary to turn the computer off or to restart the system to connect or to disconnect the device. Here, the plug and play feature means that a new device, such as additional speaker or any other new device, so that can be connected at any time while the system is operating. So that is what the plug and play feature is. Here, the system should detect the existence of this new device automatically and identify the appropriate device driver software and any other facility needed to service that device and establish the appropriate addresses and logical connections to enable them to communicate. So this is what the plug and play concept. Here, the plug and play requirement has many implications at all levels in the system, from the hardware to the operating system and the application software. One of the primary objective of designing of the USB has been to provide a plug and play capability. So these are what the different key objectives or different aspects with respect to USB, Universal Serial Bus. Next, I will take up USB architecture, that is the Universal Serial Bus tree structure. So architecture is in the form of a tree structure here, USB architecture. Here, the discussion as I with respect to the previous points, that is the point that I have discussed previously, that is to the need for an interconnection system that combines low cost flexibility and high data transfer bandwidth. So that I discussed already, right? Here, the IO devices may be located at some distance from a computer to which they are connected, and the requirement for high bandwidth would normally suggest a wide bus which will carry 8 bits or 16 bits or more than 16 bits in parallel. So, however, a large number of wires increases the cost as well as the complexity, and also it is inconvenient to the user. But also it is difficult to design a wide bus that carries the data for a longer distance because of the data skew problem. Data skewness means uneven distribution or uneven carrying the data. Here, the amount of skew increases with the distance and limits the data rate that can be used. Means if you carry the data a longer distance as well as longer time, then it will cause the data skewness, that is uneven distribution of data. Means data will not carry evenly. Means regularly it will not carry. That is data skewness. So the amount of data skewness, it increases with the distance and it limits the data rate that can be used. Here, a serial transmission format has been chosen for USB because a serial bus satisfies low cost and flexibility requirements. Clock and data informations are encoded together and transmitted as a single signal. Hence, there are no limitations on clock frequency or the distance arising from the data skew. Therefore, it is possible to provide a high data transfer bandwidth by using a high clock frequency. As it is already pointed out, the USB offers three bit rates ranging from 1.5 to 480 megabits per second, which will well suit the needs of different IO devices. So if you look into this USB architecture, here you can see the different components. This is what the host computer, that is your desktop computer, which will act as a root hub here. To this, different hubs are connected. Basically, hubs are the intermediate devices which will allow some external devices to connect to this host computer. So you can connect your IO devices, that is input output devices, to this host computer through different levels of hub. So this is what the general architecture of USB, which is in terms of a tree structure, that is USB tree structure. Now, to accommodate a large number of devices that can be added or removed at any time, the USB has a tree structure as shown here. So this tree structure, it illustrates how to accommodate a large number of devices that can be connected or removed at any time. So that is illustrated here in this USB tree structure. Here, each node of the tree has a device called as hub, which act as an intermediate control point between the host and the IO devices. At the root of the tree, a root hub connect the entire tree to the host computer, and the leaves of the tree are the IO devices being served. IO devices, for example, keyboard, speaker, internet connection, digital TV. So normally these IO devices will be at the leaves of a tree. So these are known as the functions in the USB terminology. So these leaves part are commonly known as functions. So for consistency with uh, the USB, these devices must work properly here. Here, the tree structure enables many devices to be connected while using only a simple point-to-point serial links. As you can see, the devices are connected to this host computer through a point-to-point serial link, and each hub has a number of ports. As you can see, each hub is having a number of ports. For example, this hub is having two ports, this is having two ports, something like that, right? So each hub is having the number of ports where the devices may be connected, including other hubs. In normal operation, a hub copies a message that it receives from its upstream connection to all its downstream. Means this hub will copy the message from upstream to the downstream ports. As a result, a message sent by the host computer is broadcast to all the IO devices, but only the addressed device will be respond. That is very important here. Means even though the hub it has transmitted the message from upstream to the downstream ports, but only uh, a particular device will respond to that message, and that particular device can able to receive that particular message, right? This is how the hub work, right? So in this respect, the USB functions in the same way as the bus, right? As we have seen in the previous bus structures, so USB also functions in the same way. Here, a message from an IO device is sent only upstream towards the root of the tree and is not seen by the other devices. It means that the message which is sent from downstream device or downstream port to upstream, so that message cannot be seen by the other devices. Only the host computer or the root hub can see that particular message. Hence, the USB enables the host to communicate with the IO devices, but it does not enable the devices to communicate with each other. It means that here the USB it enables a host, this particular host, to communicate with all other IO devices, but it does not enable all other IO devices or all other devices to communicate each other. Only this device can communicate with these other devices, but these other devices cannot communicate among themselves. That is what one of the characteristics of USB. Here you can note that how the tree structure helps meeting the USB design objectives. Here, the tree makes it possible to connect a large number of devices to a computer through few ports. At the same time, each IO device is connected through a serial point-to-point connection, which we have seen in the tree structure, right? At the same time, There is an important consideration in facilitating a plug and play feature, and also because of the electrical transmission considerations, a serial data transmission on such a connection is much easier than the parallel transmission on the buses of the form which was represented in the previous bus structures. Here, much higher data rates and the longer cables can be used. The USB operates strictly on the basis of polling, so a device may send a message only in response to a poll message from the host. Hence, upstream messages do not encounter conflicts or interface with each other, and there is no two devices can send the message at the same time. And also, the restriction allows hubs to be simple and low cost devices. Here, the mode of operation described for all the devices operating at either low speed or full speed. However, one exception has been necessitated by the introduction of high speed operation in the USB version 2.0. Now consider a situation in this particular figure, that is a split bus operation. So in this figure, you can consider some situation, right? Here, hub A is connected to a root hub by a high speed link. As you can see, this hub A is connected to root hub by a high speed link, and this hub serves one high speed device C and one low speed device D. Normally, a message to device D would be sent at low speed from root hub and at 1.5 megabits per second. Even a short message takes several microseconds or tens of microseconds. So for the duration of this message, there is no other data transfer takes place. Thus, it will reduce the effectiveness of high-speed links and introducing unacceptable delays for the high-speed devices. So to understand this problem, the USB protocol requires a message transmitted on a high-speed link, which is always transmitted at a high speed even when the unlimited receives is a low speed device. Hence, message which is intended for device D is sent at a high speed from root hub to hub A, then forward at the low speed to device D. The later transfer will takes a longer time, during which high speed traffic to the other nodes is allowed to continue. For example, the root hub may exchange several messages with device C while the low speed message is being sent from hub A to hub A to device D. During this period, the bus is said to be split between high speed and low speed traffic. The message to device D is preceded and followed by special commands to hub A to start and end a split traffic mode of operation respectively. Here, the USB standard specifies the hardware details of USB interconnections as well as organization and the requirements of the host software. The purpose of the USB software is to provide a bidirectional communication link between application software and the IO devices, and these links are called as pipes. And any data entering at one end of the pipe is delivered at the other end. That will happen through pipes. And issues such as addressing, timing, or error detection and recovery that are handled by USB protocols. So the USB protocol that I will discuss in the later classes. So this is all about USB architecture, which is a USB tree structure. I hope this split bus operation concept is also clear. So this will just to illustrate some situation. And in the next class, I am going to discuss addressing and the USB protocols. Thank you.